Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Alright guys, so after all the rumors about the Nexus 7, 16 gig, 32 gig, 8 gig, which one were they going to keep? Was 8 gig going to go for this price? Was 16 gig going to be discontinued? Everything, we now finally have the answers. So, the Nexus 7 lineup, we have three of them guys, and they start at $199 for the 16 gig. This was the better choice. I definitely believe that, while keeping the 8 gig at even 149, I would prefer a 16 gig 199 device. So that is really big. It's the first 16 gig at that price point, I believe. Everything else at that price point has always been 8 gigs. So that's pretty big. The fact that it's 16 gigs now for that price is, I think, really important and definitely shows Google's credit. Whereas Apple is charging $329, you can now get a 16 gig tablet for $199, 7-inch with a much better resolution, much better graphics card. It's just better. So I think that's really interesting. The Nexus 7 definitely has outshined the iPad Mini in terms of specs and performance. Jelly Bean is actually more stable in comparison to iOS 6, and that has been proven already now too. So it's really interesting about that. So that is the 16 gig. And finally, we have confirmation on the 32 gig model. So for $249, you can get a 32 gig model. Of course, this is always the one I recommend, simply for the fact that with 32 gigs, you definitely have much a better longevity for that, because of the fact that you have built-in memory, 32 gigs, and you're not going to run out. So why that's important is because, again, these do not have micro SD card slots. Nexus devices will never have micro SD card slots, so that's a really big thing that I think that they're doing really well, and that is having 32 gigs worth of storage built into it. It really is just amazing that it has that many, and it's really, I think it's really big that they did that. So specs wise, it stayed the same. You have 1 gig of RAM. You have Gorilla Glass. You have a 1280 by 800 HD resolution, meaning that it's really great quality. You have 216 pixels per inch, whereas like the iPad Mini only has like 160 or something like that, like something awful. So it really has shown how much better it's getting. And I think the Next 7 is a great buy, so that's great for the Wi-Fi only versions. But the other big announcement was that there's a 32 gigabyte HSPA Plus version now, which is pretty big because it's only $299. So for $50 more, you can actually get HSPA Plus, which, as we've seen on Apple, they always charge $100 to $170 more for their internet versions. So I think this is really big too. The fact that you're getting a $299 device that is unlocked, so you can use it for anything. So that's really huge. If you guys have not if you guys have never thought about getting, one that you can travel around with that has internet built in, this is the one to get and try out that for, because it's really nice, the fact that it has it. And the fact that you don't have it under contract. That's another big thing that I think Google will strive for this time around, is that none of their devices need a contract. So you are not locked into their device, but they still give you one of the top quality devices right here and now for a really low price comparing to anything else on the market. So I think that's really good. I think it's really good. Whereas I believe the iPad Mini, like the cheapest, I want to say the cheapest one of theirs will start at 400 and something, and on this one you have the ability to have it at $300 exactly, plus tax. You have the device with it right then and there. So I think it's a big deal. Again, I do see Google as, I don't like the fact they're only sticking to HSPA Plus, simply because LTE is the dominating force now within the US. So I wish they would have done just two variants. Just, you can make an HSPA Plus, and even if you would have done for $349 an LTE version, I think that would have got a long way further. However, I think the reason they didn't do it with this device was because I don't think we've seen a Tegra 3 quad core with an LTE chip. And I think if we would see one, it would be a different version of the Tegra 3 than the one that's in the Nexus 7. So I think that's maybe why I was trying to figure out why they didn't do it to this device. You know, we saw that it didn't do it on the LG on the Nexus 4. So why they didn't do it on the Nexus 7? I think that's the reason. Also to keep costs down. I mean, for 50 bucks more, I would probably get the HSPA Plus version just because, I mean, why not? And the thing is I really like this because now Google's kind of beating Apple at their own price point game. If you think about it, you have this Nexus 7, which starts at 199. Which why would you get like a little iPod Touch instead of a Nexus 7 kind of like thing? So I find that I find that really cool that that instead of getting such a limited device, you can actually get a device that has no limitations and it's going to be a lot better off, and especially in the long run. I mean, if you think about the things you can do with an iPod Touch comparing to what you can do with the Nexus 7, it's a huge difference. So that's really interesting. And so now they're starting at 199 all the way up to 499, and we'll see this with the Nexus 10, which I'm going to do a video on next. But I think it's really good. What do you guys think about the Nexus 7? Do you have one yourself? Are you thinking about upgrading to a new storage? What are you kind of interested about seeing this device? I thought I mean I loved using the Nexus 7 when I had it. Although my only issue with it was that I had gotten the 8 gig, which I could never use myself because I require at least 32 gigs. 16 generally doesn't go that well with me because eventually I would want more, especially if it's a device that I'm going to have for over a year. So, yeah, guys, leave your questions and responses down below and let me know what you think about the Nexus 7. I think it's a great device, and I think for 199 for 16 gig, you can't beat it, and 249 for 32, it's even better. And then if you want to have internet everywhere you go, 299. So, really good device. Let me know what you think. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.